Code Red. If you detect smoke or if you discover a fire, immediately pull the latch of the alarm case, which will set off the alarm. When the alarm sounds off, the nurse in charge of the main floor immediately heads to the main floor's nursing station. In the meantime, the security system provider calls the fire department. The nurse puts on the orange protective helmet or the orange bib. An automated voice then declares the code red, specifying the floor and the wing. For example, code red, second floor, Cartier wing. At the same time, the nurse identifies the fire's location on the system's screen. The nurse uses the intercom's transmitter to declare the code red 3 times, specifying the location of the fire, therefore the room, the hall, the lounge, or the hallway. The nurse is on guard and available, acting as commander until the fire services are on hand. Code Green. If the horizontal evacuation is required, the nurse on the floor where the fire broke out sets off the code green by inserting the proper key in the lock inside the case and by turning the key. The code green is then declared, specifying the floor and the wing. For example, code green, evacuation, second floor, Cartier wing. Residents then have to be evacuated to the end farthest from the fire. At this point, nurses and auxiliary nurses must evacuate every room. Ambulatory residents and visitors are the first ones to be evacuated and directed, following the staff members' orders, to the gathering point beyond the fire doors, either at the end of the wing if the fire is near the center of it, or at the center of the wing if the fire is at the end of it. After entering the room of a non-ambulatory resident, staff members must reassure the resident and tell him or her they will be back shortly before shutting the windows. Non-ambulatory resident with escape pod. If the bed of a non-ambulatory resident is equipped with the escape pod device, which is stowed between the mattress and the bed frame, the initial step is for the nurse to pull out the section to her or his right, or to the left of the resident, before stretching it down. The nurse then does the same with the opposite section. The nurse carefully stretches out the first section on top of the second one, before pulling out the third section, stretching it out to wrap the resident's feet, and stretching it over the first and second sections. All 3 sections are held together with Velcro strips, which prevents the resident from moving too much during the transfer from the bed onto the floor. The nurse then slides the whole mattress out of the room into the hallway, where she or he shuts the door and opens the tab at the bottom of the door, indicating that the room has been vacated. If the horizontal evacuation has been declared, the nurses slide the resident all the way to the gathering point, which is the part of the wing farthest from the fire. Should the vertical evacuation be declared, the nurses would slide the mattress and the resident to the nearest stairway, sliding them down the stairs 1/2 level at a time. Non-ambulatory resident without the escape pod device. If the bed of a non-ambulatory resident is not equipped with the escape pod device, the nurses start by reassuring the resident before flipping back the 4 corners of the bed sheet to make a tarp-like hammock out of it and lifting the resident to pull him out of the bed. The nurses gently lay the resident down on the floor and slide him out of the room, making sure to open the flap on the bottom part of the door, which indicates the room has been vacated. If the horizontal evacuation has been declared, the nurses slide the resident all the way to the gathering point, which is the part of the wing farthest from the fire. Should the vertical evacuation be declared, the nurses would lift the bedsheet turned into a tarp and carry the resident in it to the nearest stairway and down the stairs, 1/2 level at a time. The residence has 2 elevators to serve residents and visitors. When the alarm is set off, the appointed staff must go down to the basement using the stairway and call the elevators back to the basement if the presumed fire is on the main floor. If the presumed fire is in the basement, the elevators must be called back to the main floor and they must be unusable, which is achieved by pressing and holding the green button.